The best unranked UFC fighters currently, we got guys like Abus Magomedov, Joel Alvarez, John Silva, who's fighting this weekend, Vinicius Oliveira, Jack Hermanson is somehow unranked, I don't understand how, and so many more guys. This is my top 10 currently in 2025 as of February 20th. Ladies and gentlemen, I think all of these guys will be ranked eventually in their weight classes. Joel Alvarez keeps getting ranked and pushed out. Jack Hermanson was just ranked 13th and he got kicked out for no reason whatsoever. Steve Garcia's on like a 5-fight knockout streak. Vinicius is undefeated in the UFC, coming off Said Nurmagomedov wins, coming off a win over Ricky Simon. Farid Bashara, undefeated from Afghanistan, representing them, but also fighting out of London, England as well. Fares Yam on a crazy win streak. The French representative now that Benoit Saint-Denis going downhill. Felipe Lima, 3-0 in the UFC as well. He's doing great. He is doing great fighting up a weight class. A lot of wins on short notice. John Silva, I think 4-0, 3-0 in the UFC, all finishes. This dude's a monster. Carlos Leal, the only guy with a losing record here, but he is legitimately the best welterweight outside of the top 15. Prove me wrong. Comment down below. And then Abus Magomedov, I think he's the number 2 middleweight outside of the top 15, because he's got the whole package. He can strike with you and he can out wrestle you and out grapple you as well in the UFC middleweight division. Didn't look too good in his first 2 fights with Kyle Bahalio as well as Sean Strickland. But the Kyle Bahalio fight, he looked a little bit better, and then his cardio started to improve. His wrestling and grappling got better. He's just looking overall really, really good. So this is who I got. We're going to start talking with Abus Magomedov, 27-6-1. And this is going to be a hot take for a lot of people. But he knocked out Dustin Stoltzfus easily, dominated Warlley Alves, and then he submitted Bruno Ferreira. And that's where it kind of cemented it for me, is that he's got good striking, but he was able to take this man down and out-wrestle him and out-grapple him. And this is a very good ground game guy in Bruno Ferreira, who's got a good judo background. He was able to just take him down and just absolutely dominate him. Ferreira's got a knockout win over Gregory Rodriguez, which was a really, really good win. And Abus, man, I think he's going to be ranked. He's 34 years old, the only real representative of Germany, kind of at the top right now in their weight class. So we'll see, but I think Abus Magomedov is going to be ranked next year. He's fighting, or not next year, this year. He's fighting Michel Pereira next. I think he wins that fight, and I think he gets ranked. Then we do have Carlos Leal. Ladies and gentlemen, I pose this fighter as the best fighter outside of the top 15, and everybody went crazy. Everybody thought I was crazy. He's 0-1 in the UFC. How is he the best guy outside of the rankings? Well, first off, Sadibou Boussi, I think, puts up good fights with like anybody in the top 15 of the UFC welterweight division. I think Sadibou Boussi would kind of be ranked right now. And given the shot, I think Carlos Leal, with a full camp, would be ranked in the UFC welterweight division. He's 30 years old, still hasn't even touched his prime, stepped in on short notice to take on Rinat Fakhretdinov and outstruck him, defended all of his takedowns, and in my opinion, he won that fight. He outstruck Rinat for 3 rounds. And it was legitimately the biggest robbery of 2024. Rinat Fakhretdinov is the man that dominated Kevin Lee, beat Nicolas Dalby in a close fight, and then he dominated Brian Battle. He's dominated Brian and Nicolas. These are guys, Brian Battle, a lot of people say he's one of the best outside of the rankings. Well, if he's 30-26ing Brian Battle, and I think that he went out there and beat Rinat, like, I gotta have Carlos Leal as one of the best guys, if not at least the best welterweight outside of the rankings right now. There's no other welterweights here. There's no other welterweights because Rinat is my second best. And I think Carlos Leal beat Rinat. So I have to go with Carlos Leal as the best fighter outside of the rankings in the UFC welterweight division. We move on. This is an easy pick. Easy peasy pick here. My man Joel Alvarez, 31 years old. I think like 100% finish rate. 1 fight going to a decision, which was a loss to Damir Ismagulov. former top 10 UFC lightweight. Arman Tsarukyan, his most recent loss, the number 1 ranked UFC lightweight. Other than that, dude's been flawless. Finishing Danilo Belluardo, finishing Joe Duffy, finishing Alexander Yakovlev, knocking out Thiago Moises, which is a solid way to win against a veteran and former main eventer who went 5 rounds with Islam Makhachev and took down Islam. He was able to just starch him in a round. Mark Diakiese finished him. Elvis Brenner knocked him out. Drakkar Klose knocked him out. I mean, this dude is just an absolute killer in the UFC. He's a grappler, and he's knocking out dudes now in the UFC lightweight division. Again, out of his last 4 wins, 3 of them are knockouts. And again, he's a grappler. He's turning into a striker. This dude's legit. This dude is legit. We move on to the featherweight representative, and there are multiple featherweights here. We got Steve Garcia as well as John Silva. Number 3 for featherweight's going to be Sean Woodson, but I think John Silva and Steve Garcia are just a little bit better than Sean. Sean's right there with them, but the fact that Steve and John are going out there and finishing these dudes leads them a little bit farther than I would have Sean Woodson. Again, John Silva, my man, is going out there and just destroying and putting on a clinic over these guys. Weston Wilson, Charles Jourdain, Kevin Vallejos, and Drew Dober. The fact that he went up a weight class on short notice, like, 2 weeks after he had just beat Charles Jourdain and dominated Drew Dober? All I gotta say, this dude beats so many guys in the rankings right now. Steve Garcia, same for him. This dude is dominating dudes on the regional scene. Only lost up a weight class to Mahesiar Maheshate up in the lightweight division. Starched Chase Hooper, who is on a tear in the lightweight division, knocked him out easily in a minute 30, knocked him down like 4 times, knocked out Shailander Danbiak, knocked out Melquizael Costa, knocked out Sungwoo Choi, knocked out Kyle, just dominating. And everybody that's so high on Chepe Mariscal, this guy that's just doing amazing things in the UFC right now, beat Jack Jenkins, Morgan Charrier, Damon Jackson. Well, we look back, friggin' Steve Garcia starched this dude with knees and elbows. Starched him. And Chepe is a guy that beat Youssef Zalal, who's ranked right now. So Steve Garcia is an absolute killer and will be ranked very, very soon in the UFC featherweight division. Then we got Felipe Lima. 26, that's it. 26 years old. Goes into the UFC. Short notice against Mohamed Naimov, up a weight class, and he beats him. And he doesn't just decision Mohamed Naimov, he submits him. And that's his only loss in the UFC. He beat Konofoli dominantly, beat lightweight Jamie Malarkey, beat Nathaniel Wood, who everybody was really, really high on at the time, and beat Eric Silva, and only lost to, Felipe Lima. And that is a guy in Nathaniel Wood that everybody was saying a top 25. He's like right outside of the rankings, and he starched him, destroyed him. Rear naked choked him. He went out and beat Miles Johns after that. Pretty easily. I mean, he outstruck him. Landed a takedown or 2 on Miles Johns. And Miles is no slouch either. Anybody out there saying he is should go slap themselves. This dude was 6-2 in the UFC at the time. Only 2 losses to ranked Mario Bautista and then John Castaneda. Other than that, 2 knockouts right here. Beat Vince Morales, beat Cody Gibson, Douglas Silva de Andrade. I believe beat Dan Argueta as well, but that got overturned for some nonsense. And he dominated that fight. So Felipe Lima, only 2-0 in the UFC, is already a top 3 unranked bantamweight in the UFC. I gotta say that right now. The next unranked bantamweight we got is Farid Basharat. 13-0, not a finisher, but he's a beast. Joins the UFC and beats Damone Blackshear in his debut. And everybody likes to look at Damone's record. 3 wins, 3 losses, 1 draw. And they like to say Damone is not good. They like to say Damone is just not a good fighter. 3 wins, 3 losses, 1 draw. That's not good. You have a 50-50 record. You suck. This dude, 3 finishes in the UFC, 100% finish rate out of his wins. Got a draw with ranked Youssef Zalal. Lost to Farid Basharat. Okay. Lost to Mario Bautista. And then Montel Jackson. Mario Batista, Montel Jackson, Farid Basharat, and a draw with Youssef Zalal. And Farid Basharat, again, did better than Youssef Zalal did better than Mario Batista did a little bit worse than Montel Jackson, but still did better than Mario and a ranked featherweight in Youssef Zalal. These are two top 10 level guys in the bantamweight and the featherweight division that Damone Blackshear is just doing better. Or sorry, Farid Basharat is doing better than. He finished Clayton Rodriguez, beat another really, really good guy in Taylor Lapilus, who in his second stint in the UFC is undefeated besides Farid Basharat. Beat Kalan Loughran, Cody Stamann, Vince Morales, only lost to Farid Basharat. Then the last one, Victor Hugo as well. He was 1-0 in the UFC, and Farid pretty much beat him. And again, there's an asterisk there, and Victor Hugo missed weight by like 10 pounds, which was crazy. But, man, Farid Basharat, 4-0 in the UFC, only one finish, yes. But, I mean, beating really good guys. Victor was 1-0 in the UFC. Taylor, aside from Farid, is on a 3-0 streak in the UFC. Damone Blackshear only losing to Beast, drawing with ranked fighters, and he's doing better against Damone than ranked Mario and Youssef Zalal. So, Farid Basharat, I mean, we got to put more respect on this man's name. And then the last bantamweight I'm going to talk about before we go on to Fares and Jack is Vinicius Oliveira. I've been very high on Vinicius Oliveira for a while. Lost to Ali Taleb because he was showboating a little bit, but came back, knockout win in a round, joined the Contenders series, dominated Victor Madrigal, beat Bernardo Sopai, who is 1-1 in the UFC. 1-0 besides that loss, beat Ricky Simon, a former ranked UFC bantamweight, a former winner against Merab Dvalishvili, dominated Ricky Simon, and then he out-cardioed, outpaced, and out-wrestled Said Nurmagomedov in that fight. Dude, this dude is a problem for anybody in the bantamweight division because he's not just a striker, he's a wrestler, Brazilian guy that goes out. He's not a grappler either, he's a wrestler that can just shoot takedowns at will like Merab Dvalishvili because he's just got crazy cardio. He was injured in the Said Nurmagomedov fight, still shooting takedowns, still pressing forward, still coming at Said over and over again and shooting takedowns and landing punches and winning that fight. Vinicius is a problem, and he's one of the best outside of the rankings. Then we got Jack Hermansson, 36 years old, probably the oldest guy on the list, 11-6 in the UFC, beat Kelvin Gastelum, beat Edmund Shabazian, Chris Curtis, and Joe Pyfer. These are legit wins. Split decision with Sean Strickland. Lost to Jared Cannonier, top 10. Marvin Vittori, top 10. Again, split decision with Strickland, number 2. Roman Dolidze, lost to him, top 10. Thiago Santos, former champion. And then, Cesar Ferreira, like his second fight in the UFC. But come on, this dude is legit. I don't know. I mean, I'm guessing it's his inactivity because February 10th, he hasn't fought in a year. I guess that's the reason he's outside of the rankings, but I don't understand. I think he should be ranked above Bo Nickel. He beat Chris Curtis and Joe Pyfer, who are both basically ranked level in the UFC middleweight division. Why is Jack unranked? I don't know. He should be, though. Then we have Fares Ziam, 5 wins in a row, I believe. Maybe 6. I think it's 5, though. 5 wins in a row. Michael Figlak, Jai Herbert, that's a solid win. Claudio Puelles, solid win as well. Knocked out Matt Frivola, cut open and badly sliced Mike Davis's face open and won by unanimous decision. Of course, lost to Terrence McKinney, lost to Don Madge. Those are years ago. That's 3 years ago and like 7 years ago. He's improved, man. He is so much better than those last fights. His grappling is so much better. His striking is better. He is just a new and improved fighter now in the UFC lightweight division. And right now he's ranked 17th in the lightweight division. I find it hard to believe he can't go out there and put up a good fight against a Beneil Dariush. Put up a good fight against a Jalen Turner, a Benoit Saint-Denis, or Rafael Fiziev, because he's got grappling. He's got grappling too. There's no saying he can't go out there and put on a good fight with Mateusz Gamrot. I think he does. So I think he's got a good shot. And these are the top 10 best unranked fighters in the UFC. All of them, in a year from now, will be ranked. Fares Siam, 2 more fights, he'll be ranked. Fari Bashra, 2 more fights, he'll be ranked. Vinicius Oliveira, 1 more fight, he'll be ranked. Steve Garcia, 1 more fight, he'll be ranked. Jack Hermanson, if he fights, he'll be ranked. I don't know where he's gone. Felipe Lima, 1 more fight, he'll be ranked. John Silva wins against Melsic, gets a ranked opportunity, he'll be ranked. Joel Alvarez, 1 more fight, he'll be ranked. He's fighting Benoit Saint-Denis at UFC 315. Little inside scoop there. Carlos Leal, probably like 2 or 3 more fights. So his is the least likely to be soon because he's coming off a loss that he should have won. So I would say in like a year. Carlos Leal. And then in a few months, Abus Magomedov because he's going to beat Michel Pereira. Thank you guys for watching. The best unranked UFC fighters. That's what I got. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you in the next one.